the record decision to make Mayport a nuclear-ready facility in order to have a nuclear-powered submarine. Now, it's my understanding that we have enjoyed having a aircraft carrier in Mayport since 1952, and it's been maybe not continuously that way, but it was that way up and through 2006 when the USS Kennedy was decommissioned. Admiral Ruffin, I know that there has been some discussion about home porting a carrier at Mayport, but it's my understanding that the Navy has had a long policy of strategic dispersal, that is, dispersing your assets in numerous places in order to best protect them, and that you do this, for example, on the west coast of the United States. So is it true that the Navy has historically had aircraft carriers home ported in multiple ports on each coast, and that Mayport has been home to several aircraft carriers in the past?
That's correct, sir.
And also, is it true that the Navy maintains more than one nuclear-capable port on the West Coast, and that making Mayport nuclear-capable only makes a sensible strategy just like the Navy employs on the West Coast of the United States?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Now, I've heard discussion that this is going to be an extremely expensive proposition, talks about $1 billion to $2 billion, and it's not going to be an effective or an efficient decision for the Navy. Can you comment on that for me, Admiral?
Yes, sir. We estimate the cost to be just past $500 million. Some of those costs have already been incurred because we are involved with dredging the basin there. But the costs are also spread out over a period of years. It's not one lump sum in any given year, but it's spread out and will give us the opportunity to have an alternate carrier port on the East Coast, which would then make it possible for every ship class that we have to have alternatives as far as where they could go to be maintained or where they could go to put in if they had emergent work to be done.
And I guess, Admiral, that part of the concern is that if there is only one East Coast port for a nuclear carrier and there were some kind of natural disaster or other man-made disaster, that would significantly limit our strategic abilities.
Particularly as it would apply to our carrier fleet. Yes, sir.
In terms of the future of the Navy and the ships that the Navy will have, it's my understanding that more and more ships may be nuclear powered, not just subs, not just aircraft carriers, and that's going to require proper shore facilities to maintain those nuclear propulsion plants.
Well, Senator, as we look to the future, nuclear power clearly is something that we will be looking at as a propulsion source. There are many factors that come into play: construction, maintenance, the manning, the training. But as we look to the future, fuel considerations, energy considerations, and then the power that some of the newer weapon systems are going to require, you're automatically drawn to nuclear power as a source, and we're going to be looking at that.
So having those capabilities in multiple locations to be able to service those ships is important?
Yes, sir, it is.
Last on the Mayport issue, I've heard some talk about concerns about hurricanes and whether, Florida, we've unfortunately, like other states, have had hurricanes hit us in the past. Has there been an evaluation as to whether or not Jacksonville is as susceptible as the rest of Florida is to hurricanes?
Yes, sir. Well, that was one of the factors that we looked at, because I think one can easily conjure up an image that anything in Florida is susceptible to multiple hurricanes. But when you look at the historic nature of the storm tracks, that area in the Jacksonville area is not prone to what many perceive to be high incidence of hurricanes. The patterns either take them south or the patterns take them up toward the Carolinas, and the area in Jacksonville seems to be in a very fortunate pocket.
It does. I'm not aware of a hurricane ever hitting Jacksonville. Perhaps it has. It hasn't in the last 40 years that I'm aware of, and I don't think we've had one prior to that, maybe a long time ago, but it has been a long time. That area does seem to be a pocket.